Guys, I think I have a problem. Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Morty and Glory video. In today's episode, I come to you with my head hung low. A broken man, forgive me, for I have sinned. What you see before you is my entire pile of shame. Over 2 decades of accumulated bits, bobs, job lots, and half-baked projects. And what I want to do is take you through the whole damn lot. Lift up the rock and look at the worms underneath. We're going to go through every kit. I'm going to tell you the story of how I ended up with it. And then at the end, we're going to come up with a solution to this thing. As is only natural on this channel, let us begin with his Imperial Guard. To start off, we've got 4 brand new in box old school Sentinels. I got all of these for a ridiculously good price. Ignore these stickers. These stickers aren't correct. What happened was there was a video game chain in the UK called Game. And to try and diversify their portfolio to compete with a lot of online retailers such as Steam for video games, they decided to break into the tabletop market. They went with some board games, but they also ended up stocking a lot of Warhammer. Interestingly, they didn't overly advertise they were doing this, and as a result, after a couple of years of a lot of kits being left on shelves, Game decided they wanted to shed their stock, and bit by bit, the prices started coming down, until finally, about a couple of years ago, they said, you know what, we just want to move everything else that we've got. We want to get rid of any potential losses. We just want to move these boxes. And so I ended up getting each one of these Sentinels for about £10 from various game stores. When I found out what they were doing, I swept in, you let me know which one's right, and like a vulture feasting on the carcass, I ended up picking up 4 of these Sentinels. I also ended up picking up a variety of other kits, but I did sell those or trade them. But I kept the Sentinels because, well, it's guard models. You can never go wrong with having more stompy walker boys. Next to them, we have 5 squads of Metal Steel Legion. Now, interestingly, I didn't get these on the made to order. I got them on the last chance to buy because I missed out on the Destroyan last chance and the Mordian last chance because back then I was just a stupid kid back then and I didn't have any money. So I missed out on getting those models. It's always been something that I regretted. So when the Steel Legion, the last OG metal models to hold the line, went on last chance, I ended up picking them up, and thank God I did. I got each one of these squads for about 20 quid. When GW did their made to order only 18 months later, they charged over 40 quid for each one of these. So I am very grateful that I managed to get these when I did. I was forewarned by what they did with the Valhallan last chance followed by made to order, and I was just at a point where I was able to get a few boxes of them. So they are very much in reserve right now. As the meta waxes and wanes, changes, shifts, spins in circles, goes up and down, I end up opening a box of these and, you know, getting a few more missile launchers or grenade launchers or las guns as I need them for the Armageddon 204th Mechanized Infantry Army. Below that, we have a few more recent acquisitions. With the launch of the long-awaited 9th edition Codex, I saw that Death Strikes were actually reasonably good, at least meme-worthy, and I went out there and bought 3 of them. I figured, you know what, I'd have a couple of years to build them, put them together, and finally start using them, but nope. Only 3 or 4 months after the full Codex was released and FAQ'd, the guard book ended up going away and 10th edition came along, and the Death Strike went back to being useless. So this is a little bit of a sore spot for me. And then of course around here we've also got some fobs, which also did quite well at the beginning of 10th edition, only to then get taken around the back of the chemical sheds and shot with the points increases not 2 weeks later. Not gonna lie, boys, a lot of the recent GW behavior has been pretty stingy, and I'm not buying these things to be meta. I'm buying them because I think they're interesting and the units finally become viable, and then GW ends up pooing all over my chest. But this is not a GW hate video, so let's not go too far down the rabbit hole. I have got, like I said, 2 fobs, and I've also got a squad underneath this top of Baneblade here. I've got a squad of the old Cadians, my last 10-man box of old Cadians. I am husbanding those parts particularly well, as they do come with lots of different bits and bobs, which I find very useful. Under here, I have a full Cadia Stands army set. I opened it, I took the codex out, and then by the time I wanted to build the models, I say it's not a GW hate video, 10th edition had come along. But yeah, so in there's a full Cadia Stands, sans the codex. And then we've got a Kill Team box. I really like Kill Team, and what happened was I ended up getting this for a ridiculously good deal. I needed to get the Kill Team army book, and I actually ended up getting this for a discount from a third-party retailer who was just wanting to get rid of it because it had been sat on his shelves since it first came out. And he was like, look, I'll sell you this for, I think he said like £35. It was crazy. And when I looked online, that was like the price of one of the Kill Teams on their own. So I figured, you know what? That's a pretty good deal, so I ended up getting that. We've also got some of the made-to-order Commissars and Inquisitors. Some of these I've had my eye on for a long time. So we've got the classic Metal Inquisitor with the combi weapon. And then any of you real longbeards might remember this from a particular White Dwarf battle report with the Nids and the Death Watch and the Guard all fighting it out. Remember this guy? I've wanted him for a long time and I finally got my hands on him. And then of course we have got the classic Crab Claw Yak. I had to get my hands on this guy, and he's very much a model that I'm looking forward to getting sorted out soon. And then I also have a random Brother Cabulo that my brother gave to me when I helped him move house. He didn't realize that he had 3 of them. He had one already built, he had one that wasn't built, and he had this one which also wasn't built, new in sprue. And he was like, you know what, you can use this for your Black Templars. I thought, you know what, guy holding a Holy Grail, that is pretty Templary. So that was my little thank you for my brother for helping him move house. Scions. I got 3 Cyclops demolition vehicles that were sent to me by a good supporter of the channel. And then I got a couple of the little free Adeptus Arbites models. Arbites. Again, you let me know how it's meant to be said. I got the Beatus, a couple of them. After that, we start getting into more heretical territory. I've got a Tectonic Frag Drill, a model that I've always very much enjoyed the look of, but never got around to building. And I've also got a Goliath Truck. Both of these were actually like birthday presents or Christmas presents from maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I really hope the people that gave me these things aren't watching the video. After that, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squads of old Hormagaunts. You want to know what's funny about this? Bought them a week before the new Hormagaunts were announced. I saw the new Hormagaunts and I went, you know what, interestingly, whilst these guys might get stuck on each other a lot, I kind of think I prefer the old Hormagaunts. The new ones, there's too many tactical rocks and mid-leap poses and everything. They don't look dynamic. They look like a still shot in time. And I'd rather have my Hormagaunts look like a moving swarm rather than squads of like individual people. That's how I feel Tyrannus should be. So I did think about taking them back. My local GW guy even said to me, not GW, local store guy even said to me, you know what, I'll give you a refund on these. I know you already bought them a week ago. I said, no, it's okay. It's okay. I got them for discount and I prefer the sculpts anyway, so that's fine. Continuing to get quite heretical, we've got a unit of Possessed, which I've opened and never done anything with. Unit of Poxwalkers, actually a gift from Traitor Tom. Khan the Betrayer, bought when he came out, never opened. Sanctus, and an Objective set, which is actually super cool. Again, another gift that I really wish I'd done something with already. A lot of these models have been sat in my pile of shame for a long time. We've got Bayard's Revenge. As a Black Templar player, I had to get that model, even though I knew at the time I probably wasn't going to build it. That's another bit of shame that you may lambast me for. And then we've got the Space Marine Black Templar upgrade set. Again, when this went on Last Chance to Buy, I knew whatever GW came out with to replace it wasn't going to be as good. This old set is ridiculous. I used 2 sets, and then this one, which I haven't even fully used. 2 and a very little bit of these sets to upgrade over 200 Black Templar models. They are, it was amazing, and the new one is I say new, it's new, is a pale shadow of this one. So I'm glad I got this one again. I bought 2 of them when they went last chance to buy, and I'm very glad that I did. It is an endless source of bits. I don't know how they cram so much in, but there's so many bits in this. If you ever see one of these floating around, get your hands on it. It's way better than the current one. Little Stormhawk Interceptor. Probably get around to building and painting this just in time for GW to Legends it. Not salty at all. And then, speaking of Legends, Landspeeder Storm. Part of a custom Adeptus Arbites army that I was building. I was using Space Marine Scouts. GW then made Scouts not troops, so I couldn't do it. And then now they've Legended them, so brilliant! Moving swiftly on. I'm trying really hard not for this to be salty, but as you can see, there's a lot of things in here that have been fucked with over the years, as we should say. This was a very, very cool Christmas present from a couple of friends, and I fully intend to get this built and painted. I might even do a bit of a hobby video on this thing. It's absolutely wild. The detail on it is incredible. It's something I've had my eye on for a long time, so very excited to get to that eventually. We've then underneath that got a bit of a random one, the Catan Shard of the Void Dragon. So got a bit of a funny story about this. I own about 1,000 points of Necrons. Well, I say I own them. Mrs. Mordian owns them. Mrs. Mordian likes Necrons because, it's a bit of a tangent, boys, but bear with me. She likes Necrons because when she was 5, her dad let her watch the Terminator movie. Let's not dwell too much on the parenting style. And ever since then, she's kind of liked robots and Terminators and that kind of thing. And when she saw the Necrons in store, she was like, those things are like Terminators. I want those. So naturally, being the simp that I am for my missus, I ended up buying her a box of Necrons, and she built them and she painted them and she loved them. And what tends to happen is every 6 months to a year, Mrs. Mordian, who reluctantly comes along to the local hobby store with me fairly regularly, will get a sudden urge, a sudden spontaneous desire to get another box of Necrons and build and paint them up. So it's taken a long time, but she's actually at the point where she's got about 1,000 points of built and painted Necrons now. Couple of squads of warriors. She's got the dude who's sucking the guy's brains out with his hand. She's got the Void Dragon. The only thing is that I've said to her she can't have another box until she completes this one, but she's got her eye on a monolith at the moment, so hopefully she'll get around to that Catan Shard of the Void Dragon soon. And she's painting them in a lovely tealy turquoisey colour scheme, but it's actually quite good. So yeah, it's who knows when the moment will strike. Sometimes, like I said, a year goes by and then she wants to buy some Necrons. But I always end up doing it for her and buying her a little bit of a treat because she's a good one, Mrs. Morgan. She's a good one. All right, like it's funny. 99% of the time, it's do we have to go to the games store? Do we have to go to the hobby store? But then once every so often, she doesn't complain, and I'm like, I better put aside some extra funds. I know she's going to want something today. There we go. Moving on, box of Gretchen, which I got for 99p. The beauty of going to page 26 of eBay auctions. Likewise, Necromunda Hivescum. Got those for, I think, 99p minimum bid on eBay. And then we move away slightly from GW and we get to some bolt action. Now, I have a little thing where whenever I go to a tournament, I've had to stop doing this now. Whenever I go to a tournament, if I ended up going with a positive win-loss ratio, I would buy myself a little treat. I'd be like, you know what, I'll buy myself a box of guardsmen or a tank or something. But I ended up accumulating quite a lot. I've actually got through a lot of that stuff. But I ended up accumulating quite a lot. And I said to myself, I can't keep doing this, especially with the 9th edition guard book, which was very good. I can't keep doing this. But I ended up getting enough 40k stuff that I switched over to bot action. But then my bot action thing started, powder shave started building up. So yeah, we've got ourselves a little Puma armoured car. We've got a Marder 3, which in my opinion is the biggest memey looking tank in bot action. It's like some sort of weird science experiment gone wrong. I have no idea what that is. It's absolutely mad looking. I literally bought it because I was like, what is the maddest tank in Element games? Turned out it was the Marder 3. Puma's good though. Anybody actually plays Puma's good. Bit of Conflict 47. This is actually sent in to me by a supporter of the channel. And then a couple of presents from Mrs. Morgan for my last birthday. Universal Carrier and M10 Wolverine. I've got a couple of little bits left over here. Got the majority of an airborne army. Some of this is the metal Normandy models, and some of this is the plastic ones as well. These ones in white were actually, again, sent to me by a supporter of the channel. Very, very grateful for that. I've had quite a few bits sent in by people who's just to support the channel, just to say thank you. And I just want to say back to you guys, thank you to everyone that's ever sent me something in, because it really does, it really is very special and very humbling when people, you know, send you just some models just to be nice. And they don't even expect you to build or paint them, they're just being very nice. So thank you to anyone who has sent me some stuff, and thank you to the person that sent me these particular airborne. Then we'd sort of start going back towards 40k, although there is a little bit more bolt action. We've got some 6 grenadiers here, 10 metal grenadiers, and a Matilda tank. But behind that, we've got a different kind of heresy. We've got the Tau. A lot of this was sent in to me recently by a chap called Joe. Joe, thank you so much. He sent me 3 Tau Crisis battle suits, and he also sent me a full new inbox Riptide as well, which is pretty bloody wild. And he sent me the servitors, and he sent me some infantry as well, which is pretty cool. So nice. Actually, guys, I'm wrong here. These were sent in by a different person called Patrick McMurray. He sent me an entire squad of OG Metal Cadians, my favourite models of all time. I still don't think the new Cadians or the intermediate Cadians ever beat these old school metal ones. These are truly, in my opinion, the best Guards models. And they're very, very rare because they didn't make all that many of them before they switched over to the plastics. Speaking of metal Mordians, so we've got some down here. A little box that I got off a chap. He even sent them in a nice little padded carry case. That was very nice of him. And we've got a bit more Guard stuff. Now here we've got various models that were sent in to me by various people. We've got some Death Riders. In fact, I am the proud owner of about 25 Death Riders from various people. The last lot that got sent in to me were by Cosmic Drew. Big thank you to him. Massive support of the channel. Absolute top lad. So thank you, Cosmic. And like I said, thank you to everyone that sent me some models in. These are some alternative metal stormtroopers, sort of in the vibe, kind of like Solar Auxilia, but also in the vibe of the old vac suit ones. These were made by a company called Halcyon Miniatures, and they were just sent to me just to try out. Very, very cool. I use a lot of their Crusader models in my Scion army, but then Crusaders obviously went the way of the dodo, unfortunately. But yeah, very, very cool. Little one-man company, Halcyon Miniatures. Highly recommend that you check them out. They do some good old school metal sculpts. We then have a whole shitload of retro blister packs sent in, and we've also got another squad of metal Cadians down here as well. I'm slowly but surely, thanks to the incredible people in the Morning Glory community, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, I'm slowly but surely accumulating a platoon, a decent sized platoon of original metal Cadians. I just want to say thank you to everyone over the course of the last 2 or 3 years who bit by bit have just been sending me a model here, a squad there. We're close to having a platoon of them, boys, and if I can just get a decent sized platoon, I can start running them on battle reports and stuff, so that's good. One day I'll get the full army of them, but that's probably, well, probably a little bit in the future. I've got enough to be dealing with for the moment. We'll start moving down to some more heretical bits. This is my Chaos army. There are many like it, but this one is mine. This entire army is in a state of disrepair, partial paintedness, and obsolescence. I have accumulated all of these things, and yet I have never bought a Chaos model apart from Khan the Betrayer and those possessed. That's it. All of these Chaos models were accumulated from various job lots. Now, for those that don't know, job lots are something you can get on eBay, where it's just like an amalgamation of different bits. Maybe you'll have some Guard and some Tyranids and some Chaos and bits and bobs. And what's really interesting is there was, for a time, there was a lot of people that were selling on eBay like Guard armies or second-hand Guard models, and they had like a squad of Berserkers or a squad of Chaos. Clearly they've been tempted away from the Light of the Emperor. They wanted to try something that was a little bit different, but they didn't want to collect boring Space Marines, so they went for some Chaos. And so bit by bit, each one of these job lots that I ended up getting for next to nothing came with some more Chaos models, to the point now where there's some stuff in here I have no idea what it is. Like, obviously this is a Defiler, but it's completely knackered. And then we've got, I think this is an original like metal Predator, but then it's like been repaired with like an old metal dreadnought las cannon. There's some really wacky stuff in here. Got an old Predator here, which is pretty banged up. This, for what I can tell, is an old Gorka Morka Orc truck with a plastic original Predator side, with Imperial Guard heavy weapon team heavy bolters, with a Space Marine attack bike on the front, with, I think, some kind of Necromunda Confessor model, and then a Ninja Guardsman on top. Some sort of like sacrificial chaos altar. Whatever it is, it's absolutely beautiful and I love it. Got a Helldrake. It's actually in pretty good condition. Bunch of Terminators, metal ones. Even got Cheeky Gab Seth. Now this one is actually one I did buy. Cheeky Gabriel Seth. Got this to use as a Teeth of Terror Space Marine Captain for my Black Templars. Yeah. Oh, got a bit of crap on there. There we go. These are old metal blood. These are old Bloodthirsters. They're actually plastic. I don't know if these are like legit Bloodthirsters or not. I didn't know if they ever made the old Bloodthirster in plastic, but it came fully painted. So unless I decide to strip it off, I'll never find out if it's one from GW or from Forgery World. But again, it's bought secondhand from eBay, as it were. Well, not eBay, you know, on a job lot. I didn't even know what these things were until they turned up. Old school metal Demon Prince. Shitload of old Chaos Space Marines and Space Marine stuff. A lot of these are actually upgraded with, I think it might be kind of difficult to tell. You might, some longbeards here might be able to tell us. A lot of these are upgraded, I think, with the old, very old metal Iron Warriors upgrade pack. Yeah, very, very old, like 20, 30 years old. A lot of these models are literally, most of these Space Marines you see here, most of the ones that are like in this weird, not the corn ones, a lot of these ones have been in my collection for a very, very long time. I'm talking, I started getting into eBay and buying models from eBay with my dad like 20 years ago. I've always found eBay and then now buy and sell trading groups very good sources of models. And so yeah, a lot of these have been in my collection for 20 years and they've just come along with the pile of shame from flat to flat, from house to house. So yeah, I've had these guys have been with me for a while. I've always said I'm going to do something with them, and every year that goes by, I never bloody do. We then have a little pile of shame for Mrs. Mordian. I'm not sure what all of these are. They're things that have generally been picked up, and she's gone, that looks cool, and I've gone, all right, love, you can have it. I think we've got a Triarch Stalker here, a Ghost Ark, some Necron Warriors, Vanguard Oberon. She was like, this guy definitely looks like the Terminator would look if he was in Warhammer. And I was like, you know, it's hard to disagree with that. He's very stoic looking, isn't he? There we go. So that's Arnie right there. And we've got, this is the brain sucking guy I was talking about before. I sucked his brains out. Not certain what he's called, but he's probably one of my favourite Necron models. He just looks very, very gnarly, which is exactly how 40k should be. We then sort of going to go to the back here. We've got the giant pile of shame of orcs. In there is approximately 220 orc boys, which I got from eBay in a drunken stupor. I made a video about that. If you've not seen it, I will link it at the end of this one. Honestly, if I do say so myself, the story behind how I ended up with a baking tray full of orcs it's somewhat amusing, to say the least. I've got some other bits here. Got the orc truck that was gifted to me by Taquel. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. And then we've got some more guards. So this is the not new in box guard. We've got a Makari's Vanquisher, which I am working on right now. Soon, this will not be in my pile of shame. Likewise with the Malcador Infernus. That's going to be worked on soon. This is going toward, as it's in the tan colour scheme, this is going towards my Krieg and Steel Legion army. This is going towards the Mordians. We've then got a bunch of more Sentinels. This is an alternative Hellhound and some alternative Sentinels. These were sent in by Cosmic Drew as well. He's been a very good boy. He's been sending me lots and lots of Krieg models, and the plan is I'm going to get them all commission painted, so that should be cool. And then we've also got here what is honestly kind of like the remaining scraps of the Great Mordian Restoration Project. A few of you longbeards will be like, wow, that's the name of a Mordian Glory series I've not heard in a long time. Mordian Mondays, boys. Do you remember that? This is all that remains. Nearly all that remains of the Great Mordian Restoration Project. All of my tanks are done. All of the other infantry is done. This is all that remains of my original Mordian army. And you can see I have managed to base coat a few of them as well. In fact, I should say there is a little bit that's not in this pile of shame. And that is, there's a jam jar. I was going to place it here, but I decided it would look a bit weird having like a jam jar full of weird brown liquid on the table. There's a jam jar with a platoon of metal Mordians in it, about 30. And then there's 30 Death Corps of Krieg infantry, which are in the resin ones. They're in the ultrasonic cleaner. If you ever want to clean resin very quickly, boys, because of the releasing age, it could be a bit of an irritant on your skin, get an ultrasonic cleaner. Very cheap, very effective. Allows you to clean it off without having to sit there for ages scrubbing it with a toothbrush. So there's about 60 guard infantry that's not on the table, but this is all that remains of the Great Mordian Restoration Project. So close to being finished. Probably about 100 guards in total, including the ones in the jar of Dettol. And then we've got a few turrets that are left over. Got some various gaunts, ghost models. Got a original gaunt around here. There's original gaunt. And there's new gaunt around here somewhere. There's new gaunt. There you go. Got a couple of different ones there. So for those of you that don't know, right now I'm working on a traitor guard army for the channel. It's going to be completely blood packed. It's going to be all painted up in lovely blood packed colours. And it was in fact sent to me by channel sponsor Anvil Industries. They sent me a whole army. They're like, do you want to show off some of our models? I was like, bro, that would be amazing. So it's a whole army. I'm about halfway through painting that all now, and the plan is I'm going to have all of this painted in the next month or so, and then we'll have a Chaos Guard army that we can run on the channel, which will be very, very exciting. I'm actually going to do a standalone video talking about building and painting these guys, going over the parts. This is not a sponsored video, but I should just say, very, very high quality models. If you need some Traitor Guard, seriously check out Anvil Industries. But moving on. We've then got the last little bits here. We've got a full Lord of the Rings Dwarves army. I bought this during COVID when we weren't allowed to play 40k indoors. And one of my good friends and very, very good player, he's won many, many tournaments. He's been on several international teams. He's called Matt Robbo. He's a massive Lord of the Rings fan. In fact, his wedding ring is the Lord of the ring. And he was like, hey guys, I've got a big garden, a big table. Do you want to come over and play some games in the back garden? I think it might be a good excuse for us to learn new game systems. So I ended up getting a full dwarf army for Lord of the Rings. And I have to say, I absolutely love it. I'm really annoyed with myself that I haven't got these painted up. And then when sort of COVID lockdowns went away, I sort of moved back to playing 40k because tournaments opened up and stuff again. But my intention still very much is to get this dwarf army done because the models are really exquisite. And it very much, they have a special place in my heart because they kind of helped me scratch that itch for Warhammer Fantasy Battles when that went away. So I'm pretty happy with these guys. I've got a little special place in my heart. But speaking of Warhammer Fantasy Battles, we have my final remaining project, my Bretonnian army. So I've always actually been a massive Warhammer Fantasy player. But when they blew up the old world, kind of took the wind out of my sails. And I ended up either shelving or getting rid of a lot of various armies. Some of you guys will know that I sold my Empire army, something that I regret. But one thing I promised myself I'd never get rid of is my Bretonnians. For the lady, boys. For the lady. Every single fucking time. And this army is one that I've honestly always heavily coveted, having a full Knight Bretonnian army. And that's what this is. No damn dirty peasants in my army. Every man should be riding a horse. If you can't ride a horse, you are shamed, sir. Shamed! Now, some of these models are pretty well done, as you can see. So you might be asking, why are they in the pile of shame? None of these models are completed. The models that you see that are painted are actually still waiting on being shaded and edge highlighted and based properly. So that is only about 50% of the work done on them. They've actually got a lot more to do. And as you can see, there's also quite a lot of these questing knights as well that need to be painted at all. So the Bretonnian army, those models that are done are at best 50% done. So by my personal standards, I feel like they still belong in the pile of shame. Now, like I said, there are a few bits that aren't actually represented here. There is a whole shitload of MDF terrain that's in the pile of shame as well, but I couldn't quite fit that on the table. And like I said, there's those 30 guardsmen in the jar of Dettol. There's 30 guardsmen in the ultrasonic cleaner. And there's about 2,000 points of tile, which are off with the commission painter as we speak. I'm hoping to get those turned around fairly quickly. So there is a lot here, but it is my terrible shame to say that I couldn't actually quite fit everything on the table, boys. Now, some people can be forgiven for thinking that I've just made this video to swing my dick around. Oh, Mordian, you're just showing off your pile of shame. Look at you, Billy Big Bollocks. No, that was not the point of this video. Firstly, I wanted to make it to catalogue everything that's in my pile of shame. I did not realise how much it had built up, and I just needed to get it all out there so I could just see it for myself. Secondly, it was an opportunity for me to say thank you to a lot of the models that have been sent in. If you guys have probably noticed, I've had quite a lot of support from the community recently, and I just want to say thank you to you guys for that. But lastly, I wanted motivation. And so, I'm going to make a vow. I'm going to challenge myself. And before the comment section and the God Emperor as my witness, I vow that I will launch a crusade against this pile of shame. A penitent crusade. And my aim will be, my challenge to myself will be to have this entire thing cleared within 12 months of this video being released. Now I can clear this pile of shame either by selling stuff or by painting stuff. But if I trade any of these models for something else, then that model that is traded in will now become part of the pile of shame. There's no way of getting around this, boys. What I'm saying is this needs to be an empty table within 12 months. Everything you see here needs to be cleared. Now, if I do that, I will expunge the shame from my record and I'll be able to walk around with my head held high. I'm open to the idea, if I do that, guys, you can pick a reward for me. Maybe I can get a new channel army or get a new faction or game system for the channel. I'm open to your ideas for what reward you think I should get. Maybe just the job satisfaction of getting this cleared will be enough. But the more important one, comment section, viewers, I put my fate in your hands. For if I fail in my challenge, if I fail my vow, then I must do a forfeit. And I'm going to let the comment section pick the forfeit. Whichever forfeit gets the most likes, upvotes, whatever you want to call them, down in the comment section below. If it was within my power to do so, if it is reasonable, if you say like fly to the moon or do some dodgy illegal stuff, obviously I can't do that. But if it is something that I can do, that is fairly reasonable, that is within my power, then I will do it. And I will get evidence of me doing it. I know that's very dangerous to give the internet my life, my soul, my fate. But whatever happens, it'll be kind of funny. But I'm waffling on a little bit now, guys. You know what? I have made this video a little bit off the cuff, so let's bring it to a close. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to smash that like button, like it is your stepsister trapped in a washing machine. And of course, subscribe to never miss an episode. And if you want to support me on my crusade, if you want to contribute towards the Imperial Tithe, then please consider becoming a channel member or Patreon supporter. It really does make a huge difference. It is the lifeblood of the channel, and it allows me to accumulate piles of shame like this. Oh, God. Seriously, though, boys, thank you to all of my current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing, and genuinely couldn't do this thing without you. That's all for now. Thank you for watching, and of course, as always, I'll see you guys next time.